so many things to finish at the moment that I've knitted up. I can hardly call them works in progress. For instance, I am just turning down the waistband of this chunky knitted skirt that I made out of the recycled yarn, Stylecraft Recreate, the chunky yarn in avocado. And what I did was I knitted it on a circular needle, keeping a plain ribbed back, but on the front I've done a kind of a simple cable. So the waistband is ribbed. So at the moment I'm just sewing it up, and then I can put some elastic in, and then that one's done. That was a simple finish. So I thought I could be doing this while I'm talking to you, else I'll never get it done. So it's been a busy 3 months from April to June, as you can see from my finished objects and whips that I, from that first little segment of my video. And like I say, I've got lots to sew up. There are a lot of things that you don't know I've been doing because I've not really been talking about it. I've been doing other things. I started using up a lot of my cotton, the ones I got from Woolly Knits. And I haven't touched the blue yet, but the pale blue that I've got, I'm going to use in my tutorials. So July is going to be the month of tutorials. July is a busy month for me anyway, so I will not be probably doing as many podcasts, but we'll probably do more tutorials than anything, mainly because I promised I would do a broken down version of episode 32, where I was talking about my basics calculations for circular yoke. So I'm going to do a tutorial, a daily tutorial for that. So that should be coming up, start coming up in the next week or two as I do them. I've got them already set up. It's just a matter of starting the actual project and knitting it with you. I've got the yarns ready, so it'll be a nice little surprise and a little bit of simple colour work involved. Now, yeah, no, I'm not going to tell you. We'll leave it at that. Then I've also been knitting using the cotton and the recycled double knit, the pink double knit with the 100% cotton 4-ply in pink. I've also started a cardigan with that, and I've got the back done, and I'm on one of the fronts, I think. So that's on the way. I'll show you that in a minute. I've practically finished the crimson top that I made for episode 32. I've finished the shorts, they need sewing up. So that's going to be in a tutorial in July, sewing up. I've got 2 items to sew up for July. So that's like the pair of shorts and the floaty top I did. So they're to sew up. And then I also had some chenille from, I think it's cotton chenille from Stromness. And I've made a little shrug out of that. And all it needs is just a bit like this. just finishing off a little bit of sewing, and that's all it takes to finish it. Those kind of things annoy me when I've got something simple I can do. So yeah, it's been a busy few months, hasn't it? What with my lovely daffodils and tulips suit, which I've already worn twice. How are we doing? Yes, we're almost to the end here. I've gone on to do a second knitted jumper for Monty. Yeah, that's almost finished, but I couldn't find my sewing needle because what I wanted to do was just divide for the body and the sleeve bit now. So I'm down the yoke, and I decided to do it my way for the yoke, not the pattern's way. Like using the sort of basic calculations that I do for my own tops, I thought I'll do a similar sort of thing for Monty's jumper. And that would also help me devise what I would do with a baby jumper, because that's one of the other things I've got to play around with, probably during July. I've also been given a lot of different styles of yarn from different people. I had a nice stash of ice yarn, and some of it was, and I also had a little bit of Icelandic wool in amongst it, which was really nice. Then a lovely lady called Lena sent me some superwash pure wool and some circular needles, which I do have a few, but not that many. So that was a real kindness from this lady. So thank you so much, Lena, for sending that to me. That was so kind. And she got out of her house and she went into the nearest town and she posted it to me, and that was so kind. So I appreciate all the things people do for me, because it's like we all struggle with this, that and the other, don't we? Let's be honest. But there are some kind people in the world, and I appreciate all of them. There you go. I've finished that off now. So I've left myself a little gap there to put my elastic through. So I'll just leave it on, and I'm not going to take it off the needle, or else I'll lose the needle. So there we go. I've turned it down now. That's the casing. It's quite a wide casing. I don't think the elastic is that wide, to be fair. Oh, mind you, I've got that last little bit at the bottom. I think this is going to be, let me just check this, the length of it. Yeah, this is 27 inches, or in metric 69 centimetres, 70 centimetres, that sort of thing. So that will come down below the knee, on me anyway, and it'll have a goodly stretch. I like chunky skirts, and as you know, I've had my bottom warmer for some time now. That's okay, but I could wear this as this is without worrying about underskirts, tights, the lot, because it's got quite a good feel to it. I liked working with this recycled yarn. It isn't prickly at all. It's very good. So there you go. It's got wool in it, and it's got recycled acrylic, and the other one was recycled polyester, but the polyester I think was made from plastic bottles. Yes, that is very sensible. That was a sensible purchase. We are trying to recycle plastic bottles, aren't we? Well, if we can use yarn that incorporates recycled bottles, then fine. That I am for that. I'm all for that. So yeah, I like that. I'm going to have to keep an eye out for some more of them. So if Stylecraft are watching, yeah, I like it. It's good. More colours, please. So that's that one. Oh, am I going to just trim that off? I've just got a little bit on the hem. Hang on a minute. Let me just see if I can just... Do I need to sew that in? Possible. Let me just... That means I do have to take it off my pin. I'll just sew that in, and then I can just snip it off, and then all it means is putting the elastic in and then sewing in the casing, the rest of the casing. Then that's that done, and then I can get it on the model and photograph it then, can't I? You might get to see it at the end of this video. That would be good, wouldn't it? I wouldn't mind doing that. Right, let's just have a look, see where we are. And it just not the end, just to be, you know, certain. Yeah, that's it. Scissors. Oh, that's kind of a rubbish exercise. Trying to find a pair of scissors with all this on my chair. If you could see down by the side of me, I'm absolutely full of knitting projects. Right, I've putting the needle back on the thread for the casing so I don't lose it. So that's that one. Practically finished. Okay, put that down in the bag. So, we're talking about the recycled yarn at the moment. So, I have done the back of a lacy cardigan. And I know I said I was going to do a petite knit cardigan, but you know I tell lies. Well, not really. And I always think I'm going to do a petite knit cardigan, and then something just flashes in front of my eye, and I think, no, I've got to do that. This was taken from a vintage pattern, but for a top. But I thought I'm going to make it into a cardigan. So here we are. We're on the one of the sides. I think it's that side. Same pattern on the front as on the back. Knitting needle gone missing. It's on a 4.5mm. And what I'm using is the pink Recreate. I think they call that rose. With the pink cotton together. I'm knitting it both together. So there you go. And this is what's giving it this kind of cottony fleck look, which I quite like. Yeah? Do you like the pattern? So that's that one. So I'm in the middle of that. Put that back to one side. Find the needle to carry on with that one in a bit. That's the other jacket for Monty in this kind of duck egg blue, Starcraft Life. So yeah, we're just down to the division now of the legs and the body. So that's that one. That's the yarn. I still haven't finished this. I got to the point where it was kind of running out of yarn. So I am just going to use what I have. I'm not going to get any more yarn on that one. I'm going to try and have a yarn-free month or two, July and August. I'm going to try not to buy any wool. I don't really need it. I've been given, you know, some nice yarns which I might be able to incorporate into it. So that's that one. The shorts came out of this nice coppery brown cotton, and I doubled it. I used double yarn for that. I still have a lot to do on these. I've actually done both legs. That's one side. I call them skirts because they're almost like a pair of shorts with a skirt feel to it. But because of my size, they'll probably look like shorts. And that's going to have casing at the top again, which you turn over and sew. And it has a little eyelet there. Can you see that? An eyelet in there for where you put your I-cord. So I've got to do an I-cord for this yet. And then obviously sew it up. There is also some short rows in that so that the back is higher than the front, which is normal. You see, it's just slightly higher than the front. Well, quite a bit higher than the front. So yeah, so that's got to be sewn up, but that's going to be for a tutorial in July. Like I said, I want to show you how to sew things up, or how I sew things up. So that's the shorts. The other thing was that I used this lovely sulphur yellow. I've got plenty of that left actually. And I made this pretty t-shirt with a little keyhole front. Well, it's got a bit creased up, so because it's been in the bag. But this is again part of a tutorial that I'm going to be doing in July. Just getting it all together. So yeah, so that's the t-shirt with the pretty lace bottom. Yeah, so that'll be nice once I've put that together and given it a nice iron. But again, that will be in the tutorial in July. So I'll put those back in the bag. Now, I bet you're all wondering what happened to the crimson top I was knitting for episode 32. Well, it needs a few bits of sewing in, but it's finished. See? There's the top, and I crocheted around the neckline and around the arm here, and then I went further down the body and finished off with my nice edging, and see, and then crocheted the edge. So at the end of the video, I'm going to put this one up along with the lovely skirt, because I'll have finished off sewing in some of these little ends, and put them on my model and photograph them for you. That'll be lovely, won't it? You can see what they look like. And also at the same time, as I said, I'd done this cotton chenille top, and here it is. It's got no arms, no armholes, but can you see? The shoulder comes out, and that will go over your arms. I didn't know what to do with the chenille, and I suddenly thought, well, why not? Let's try that. So I've got an open work neck. So I'm not sewing these two bits up together, I'm just leaving them. That's the back, I think. There's the front. It's got a bit of an angle on the front, which I wanted. So yeah, I just got a few little ends to sew in, and again, that will be photographed at the end for you. I think there was a photograph on earlier for the finished object section. It is practically, it just has one or two ends. So there we go. Is that it? I think it is. I don't have any more acquisitions. I do have the beautiful wools that I bought for knitting my lacy top and lacy skirt. Now that I'm going to start later on in the year. So possibly, I would say, possibly August. We're going to start sometime in August. And I will show you what I've done with these lovely little yarns that Lena sent me. I've got them in my mind for that sort of chocolatey colour. I've got those in my mind for a Fair Isle jumper. Just a simple one, you know, just two colours, which is absolutely great. They're just so contemporary looking, I think. Yeah, so I've got that in my mind to do. She also sent me all sorts of goodies, crochet hooks and circular needles. So yeah, that's just brilliant. And I'll show you the picture of the ice yarns and the and some vintage magazines that I got. And when I say vintage, I'm saying 1965. That's brilliant. That was brilliant. That was a brilliant find, because I love all things vintage. So yeah, I might be looking through those vintage patterns to see if there's a simple colour work for those yarns that I have. That'll be wonderful. I've got plenty of resources to look through for patterns on anything like that anyway. But it's nice to just be able to look back in history, see what we were doing back then. There was definitely a lot of skirt suits and dresses and coats and things like that. You know, they just, in those days, they just created outfits. Not just a jumper here or a scarf there or whatever. They actually created outfits. And that's what I want to do. Hence, you've got the big, thick, chunky skirt. You've got the crimson top. And then you've got the shrug to put on top of that. So you've got skirt, top, shrug. There you are. You've got one outfit. And what I would love to do is some of the ice yarns I've got, I'm going to do some bags with. So I could do a bag to go with that, if you know what I mean. Yeah, so much inspiration, basically. We all need inspiration, don't we? So I hope that's been helpful for you this week. I hope it's given you some inspiration yourself to be looking at what you can make, looking at the yarns that are available out there, and thinking about how you can create your own wardrobe. And if any of the tutorials coming up in July of any help to you, then I'm happy, because I knit stuff for myself. I make a wardrobe of stuff for myself. I've got a lovely winter wardrobe of knitted things that which I made out of combed yarn that somebody gave me a couple of years ago, and I thought to myself at the time, what on earth am I going to do with this then? Well, I found out what I could do with that. So if you go to episode 12, you will see what I did with it. Anyway, so onwards and upwards, and see you soon, and keep knitting. Bye now.